The Fisherman and the Jinn. Abdul was a poor fisherman. He had been sitting by the river with his net, but had not been able to catch any fish the whole day. He said sadly,
"It's getting late. If I don't catch any fish soon, I will have nothing to eat tonight."
His tummy was already grumbling. Just then he felt something getting caught in his net.
"It must be a really big fish,"
he said happily, and he tugged hard. With a lot of effort, he pulled the net out. He was surprised to find an old, strange brass jar instead of a fish. He was curious, and so he opened the jar. Immediately, a lot of white smoke came out of the jar. Once the smoke went away, he saw a huge, ferocious-looking genie in front of him. It was an evil genie called Jinn. Jinn said to him,
"I have sworn to kill the first man I see when I am released from this jar." "Now you must prepare to die."
Poor Abdul stood trembling.
"Please let me go," he cried. "I set you free. I helped you. You can't kill me."
But Jinn would not listen. Abdul knew his only hope was to trick Jinn. So he said,
"Okay, you can kill me if you must. But before you do, will you tell me how a big genie like you can fit into such a small jar?"
Jinn laughed.
"You fool! I'm a powerful genie. I can be taller than the mountains or smaller than a little rat if I want,"
he boasted.
"I don't believe you. Go into the jar and prove it to me,"
replied Abdul. Immediately, Jinn became very small and vanished into the jar in a puff of smoke. Before he realized, Abdul quickly closed the jar tight. He had trapped Jinn in the jar again. Quickly, he picked up the jar and threw it far away back into the river. He never wanted to see it ever again. Thus, the clever fisherman outwitted the evil genie. The Hunt for the Camel. Once a traveler lost his camel. He searched frantically for it all around the place. But nobody had seen it or could tell him where it was. Finally, he came upon 3 wise men. He asked them,
Have you seen a camel anywhere along the road from where you have come?
The first man asked him,
Is your camel blind in one eye? Yes, it is,
replied the traveler. The second man asked,
Is your camel lame in one leg?
The traveler said excitedly,
Yes, yes, it is.
The third man inquired,
Was your camel carrying a bag of grain on one side and honey on the other side? Yes, it was,
said the traveler.
That is my camel. Where did you see it? Please tell. We are sorry, but we didn't see your camel, they said.
The traveler was angry. He didn't believe them and took them to the king's court. There he cried,
Your Majesty, these men describe my camel perfectly, yet they say they haven't seen it. They're hiding my camel.
but the men pleaded innocence.
We had nothing to do with the camel's disappearance.
One said,
We knew the camel was blind because the grass of only one side of the road was eaten. We knew that it was lame because we saw that one hoof print was different from the rest.
The other added. The third man continued,
We guessed it was carrying grain and honey. On one side of the road we saw that grain had been spilled, and on the other side there were traces of honey.
Hearing this, the king was convinced that the 3 men were not thieves. He was very impressed with their intelligence and offered them to be his courtiers. The traveler realized that he too had been mistaken about the men. He apologized to them and went away to look for his camel. The Lazy Donkey. In a land far away lived a kind and hard-working farmer. He had a special power to understand the language of animals. One evening, he heard the donkey and the bull talking to each other. He hid behind a tree and listened. The bull was complaining to his friend, the donkey.
I'm so tired. I worked so hard in the fields today.
Why do you work so much? Look at me. All I do the whole day is eat, sleep, and enjoy myself.
The bull thought the donkey was very lucky.
What do I do to live like you?
Well, I always pretend to be ill, pretend not to eat your food, moan and roll on the ground as if you were in pain. Then the farmer won't take you to the fields.
The donkey advised. The next morning, the bull did as the donkey told him. But the farmer, who had heard everything, was determined to teach the lazy donkey a lesson. He went to the donkey and said, "Since the bull is ill, you will have to help me today." The poor donkey huffed and panted as he did all the work. By evening, he was aching all over. The bull, however, was cheerful. He came to his friend and thanked him for his brilliant idea.
I had a wonderful day today. I think I'll fool the farmer again tomorrow.
The donkey was worried. He didn't want to toil so hard for one more day. He quickly said,
Oh no, you mustn't do that. Just today I heard the farmer say that if you were sick for longer, he would sell you to the butcher.
The bull was scared. He didn't want that to happen. He made up his mind that he was going to be a good bull and work hard again the next day. The farmer, who had again hidden behind a tree to listen to their conversation, smiled to himself. He went up to his donkey and quietly said, "So, donkey, I hope you have learnt your lesson never to be lazy again." The donkey lowered his head in shame. He had indeed learnt his lesson.